How will the SCOTUS, or the Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action, how will it impact HBCUs? Will it impact HBCUs? Let's talk about it. And I want to hear from you all too after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYjr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload all the time. Now, if you've been living under a rock, if you don't know what's taking place, the Supreme Court essentially overturned affirmative action. It came out early in the morning. No more affirmative action, essentially saying colleges do not have to do anything when it comes to race relations, basing their admissions off race relations, different demographics, whatever. They can be diverse as they want to be, or they can be as inclusive as they want to be. It's up to the university's decision. Now, some public universities, PWIs is what a lot of us like to call them, some of them have already come out and said, hey, we're going to keep the status quo. We're going to do the same thing we've always done. We're going to, we're not going to change anything. But then, as I know, that some won't take that stance, or some will take that stance and still be a lot more inclusive as opposed to being diverse, or whatever level of diversity that they currently have. Now, I posed this question on Twitter. I was just curious, just to get some of the response, get some of the feedback. And I've gotten a ton of good feedback, but I posed this question on my Twitter. My Twitter is at JLightsy7 right there on the screen. It's a serious question. Could this SCOTUS, meaning Supreme Court Justice, this SCOTUS ruling actually positively affect HBCU applications and enrollment? Now, if you also don't know, HBCU applications and enrollment to HBCUs across this country continue to rise. They've risen for the last few years. And in some cases, some HBCUs aren't equipped to handle all the student enrollment that they've been able to take on. Some HBCUs have taken on so much enrollment that their own state legislators and their own state government has fined them. North Carolina A&T had got fined because of so many applications and so many students that they accepted from outside the state of North Carolina. There was even legislation that had to be changed because of that. And so this is a serious question. This is something, and just for the people who may or may not know exactly what's going down, affirmative action essentially says if two people, have the exact same, stats, the exact same GPA, exact same extracurriculars or whatever, you can't discriminate against the black man versus the Asian man versus the white man or whatever, and you have to accept that black man. But now it seems the possibility is you can, if they have the exact same credentials, and if you just want to have more white folks in your school, or more Asian folks, or more Latino folks, or whatever, typically it's going to be something that hinders black applicants to different universities. And so therefore, some of them may opt to go to HBCUs. And that's why I said, could this positively affect them? Well, part of the problem is, say, if some of those students who may have tradition, because here's the thing, all students that go to PWIs aren't built to go to HBCUs. Let me restate that. And in the HBCU attendees, the supporters, alumni, you guys understand it. Every single student that attends, black student included, that attends a PWI is not equipped, is not built to go to an HBCU. It is a different kind of cultural experience. It's different every way around it. The only thing that's not different is the fact that it's college, but it's different in every shape, way, form, or fashion. Some black people, some young men, some young ladies, quite frankly, aren't mature enough to attend an HBCU. When you go to an HBCU and you're around the people, like-minded people, a cultural type of people, that may be too big of a distraction for some folks, because there is a lot of fun that takes place in college in general. But then when you go to a college full of all black people, full of peers, full of people that look like you, that make you feel extra super comfortable, maybe sometimes too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right? And so that's not to say that every single black student now is going to apply to HBCUs. No, that's not saying that. But this could become a rise. Say, hey, I can deal with, not basically a lot of the HBCUs, because they've been historically underfunded, some of their facilities aren't as equipped or up to date or as glamorous as some of the PWI schools. And so that's still going to be a thing for some Black people. They still want to have the glitz and glam, right? The ultimate glitz and glam. That's not to say facilities at HBCUs across the country are bad. It's just that they've been underfunded. Like, we can't minimize that. We can't act like that's not a thing. Like, they've been historically underfunded in the billions of dollars. I mean, dollars, billions would it be? And so one thing that Roland Martin has pointed out, he said it once, he said it 100 times. He's talked about whether if those applications and enrollment numbers do increase, that means that the state legislators, that your federal legislators are going to have to open up those pocketbooks and give that money that is owed to those universities. Because right now, with the influx of young Black people, young Black applicants applying to HBCUs, right now they can't house all of them. Right now, their facilities and everything aren't up to date enough to be able to have the proper foundation and structure for all of the student applicants and new enrollees that they're getting now. And with this affirmative action, I think there will be somewhat of an uptick. I do think that. I don't know if it'll be massive. Like, I don't know if 10% of all Black students that go to PWIs will end up at HBCUs now, 10 more, like a 10-point swing. I don't know if it'll be that, but I do think it'll be somewhat of more of an uptick. I do think some of those PWIs are going to deny access to college to some of those applicants, those Black applicants. I do think that'll happen. You don't make a move like this if you don't expect something like that to happen. Meaning the SCOTUS. You don't do that if you don't think affirmative action would have never been a thing if they weren't denying qualified Black people from going to the universities. And so I do think some of those young Black people, they may go to a less prestige PWI. Yeah, some of them are going to do that. They may go to instead of going to Stanford, they end up at a smaller, less prestigious PWI. But some of them are going to take their talents, their academic talents, their smarts, their wherewithal, their wit, their charisma, their personality, their swag, their everything that's dope about them to a Jackson State, to a FAMU, to a Morgan State, to a Howard, to a Spelman, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, et cetera, Kentucky State, Simmons, et cetera. And therefore, those schools, those Black colleges need to be able to hold and withstand a potential influx in student body. And that means the state legislators, the federal legislators, and the people that owe those universities money need to cut the check. It's that simple. It's that simple. I am interested to see how all of this plays out. This could be a blessing in disguise. Now, the thing about that, like I said, some of the good and the bad will be exposed about your university. And therefore, your leadership needs to get it together. And this both at the university level and at the state and federal level, to make sure that these potentially new first generation Black HBCU students are properly taken care of. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. This could be a big thing. It could be. We've seen a recent renaissance or a wave of HBCU sports being picked up by different platforms to stream their games. We've seen different high-level athletes, whether it's bounce back from Power 5 or from FBS or just straight out of high school, decide to choose HBCUs, and not just in football, but in basketball, but in baseball, but across the athletic sphere. We've seen different HBCUs pick up different types of sports. Fisk with gymnastics, now Tennessee State with hockey. And so now with this affirmative action thing being, essentially being debunked and thrown out the window, maybe we see more of a renaissance towards historically Black colleges. Even though we've seen their enrollment go up, maybe it goes up a little bit more, but we just need to make sure that the infrastructure is there to take care of those students in every way possible. Not just the athletes, but also the students that are coming just to be a student and that make up the student body. I think this could be a blessing in disguise, or it could be a burden as far as just making sure everything is up to date and up to standard and up to par to be able to take care of those students who choose to go to historically Black colleges and universities. But I do think there is a silver lining, a good thing that can come from this. I do. But we just got to get our check, meaning the Black colleges need to get the money that they are owed both from the state and federal government. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Affirmative action has been overturned, and could this be a blessing in disguise for historically Black colleges? My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victory Information Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and a notification bell as we upload all the time. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Peace.